All right. So, hey guys, this is Reginald. Welcome to RegiCast Revisited. Hopefully you guys can hear me. But basically, this is the make a long story short. This is the side of the show I don't expect people to see. Like, this is not going to be super hype or exciting and all that fun stuff. This is really it's almost like a vlog. I think is kind of my approach to it, where it's like kind of just tracking what's been going on and kind of just processing to the best of my ability, what would be meaningful to extract from that and what would be meaningful to build upon moving forward. So, like I said, this is not going to get a lot of views. I already know that. So, with that being said, there's a lot to process. There's a lot that happened within the span of episodes 11 through 20, both personally, and then also just on the show itself. The show, let's start with the show. The show's been, I like it. I initially, within the first 10, I was just experimenting with, hey, am I really gonna like do this? I haven't been like a huge YouTuber or anything like that. I consume a lot of YouTube, but it was my first time really putting stuff out into the world. So the first 10 episodes were really kind of like an experiment, but these past 10 episodes have been where it's been getting really fun. I think I'm starting to get more comfortable with my processes. There's still a lot of processes that need to be put in place with the show, and we'll talk about that. But um, everything has been extremely fun so far. All the guests have been super fun in this past 10. Um, and so, yeah, but I do think there's a lot to process on the show end. Now, personally, I mean, what has this been like 2 weeks, 3 weeks since these past 10 episodes? So, personally, I've been going through a lot of ups and downs. Work has been kicking my ass. Like, domestic stuff's been kicking my ass. Like, the SI or, the practical stuff is not fun. And so I've been dealing with a lot of that. Pop up here. Anyway, so I think it's been a net positive. I do think I'm in a slightly better place than where I was personally than when I was doing the first 10, because the first 10, I was definitely in a pretty bad emotional space. I was recovering from a lot of different stuff. So um, I still think my pace is probably a little bit insane in terms of content creation. I probably need to figure out a way to slow that down, but and slow my life down. But I haven't figured that out yet. So until I do that, I'm just gonna have to deal with this. So let's do this. Um, so how I did it last time, and I think this is going to be the process going forward, is I'm basically going to ignore the live chat for until I'm done. Okay. So this is why I said this shit's gonna be boring. Like, I don't know what else to tell you, you know. But I'm pretty much gonna, like, to the best of my ability, I'm gonna block off the like my view of the live chat. I'm basically gonna like keep eye contact with myself. That sounds weird, but that's basically what I'm gonna do. And or just look away and just kind of process through um what's happened, right? How did I feel about it? What do I think was meaningful and things that I need to revisit and kind of implement? And furthermore, what out of all the stuff, what should be what am I going to use to build this podcast in my own life moving forward, right? So that's kind of the end game, So this is like a therapy session. I know there was someone on my show, Cherie. She called my show like sleep therapy hour or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. So that's what's gonna happen. That's why I said, the shit's gonna be boring. If you don't want to watch this, that's okay. You know. Um, so let's begin. Let's start with a general overview. So within the past 10, there are a few key things that I've learned. One, from a just really practical standpoint, I learned the necessity of wired connection. I still don't have a wired connection, unfortunately, internet connection. But what I've been experiencing, and I feel still feel a bit guilty about this, but a lot of the episodes that I had within the past 10 and even guest appearances that I've been on, because I've been on several shows as guest appearances, there's been a lot of lag, right? And so I think it may just be because I'm doing a wireless connection as opposed to wired, and wired is a lot more stable of a connection. So that is something that I'm going to be looking into. And I need to get that done within the next 10 episodes for sure. I don't like how much it's lagging. Next thing is I actually ordered a laptop, but these fuckers haven't delivered it. They were supposed to deliver like the other day, but they haven't delivered it. So I'm fucking up on the SI and they're fucking up on the SI, right? So it's fucking annoying. So basically what I have to do is I need to reach out to, I think it's like Stuck in Chicago or someplace. I hope they haven't fucking stolen it or forgot. I don't trust people these days. I have trust issues. So I'm going to go ahead and reach out to them and be like, where the fuck's my laptop at? You know, it's just not acceptable. But that laptop is going to be the key for me to start doing editing, which is going to be my next point. I need to get into, I want to do, well, the thumbnails is a ways away. I actually think I might have someone to help me with that, gratefully. Someone who's really good at that stuff. But from, if you guys have ever, or maybe, probably not, but I did another episode like this where I was talking about my plans. And one of the things I wanted to do was clip out various clips from my interviews or episodes and kind of make them 5 minutes, 10 minutes and redistribute it that way. Because even for me, I can't, like, I'm not going to sit down and watch like an hour and a half of anyone's stuff these days. So I get it. Like, it's like, I'm usually watching 10 minutes, 12 minutes clips, even from people I enjoy. So, but I wanted to wait until I got my personal laptop, because right now I'm on a work laptop, and just for whatever reason, I don't trust the RAM on this, for being quite honest. I do not trust this shit. It's just not my thing. So I am waiting on that. However, in the meantime, in order for me to be fully prepared to start editing those clips out, I still need to work on my timestamp project. So that's why I've been doing that. I have timestamps for several episodes, but I probably need to be a little bit more consistent, maybe like do one a day or one every other day or something like that, so I can get caught up, because I'm doing way more episodes than I'm putting timestamps on. So it's getting a bit away from me right now. But the timestamps is going to be crucial for when I do get the laptop, that I can just go straight into that and I'm not like looking for clips. Like, I already know, generally speaking, where the clips are going to be, right? That's why those timestamps exist, as well as just like timestamps. Honestly, I think timestamps are a common fucking courtesy. Like, I'm not going to watch your long ass video. Why? Like, just tell me where the information is. You gave me this fucking clickbait title. Where is it in your video? So I don't want to be that guy. So I do want timestamps eventually on everything. It's just taking a while. It's super exhausting. So, but that's kind of the game plan, generally speaking. In addition, this is something that's been on my mind and heart a lot. So I know I have a lot of crazy antics, right? I have a interesting, or not interesting, but I have a very emotional persona. What I think is me. Like, let's be fucking real. Like, it's not even a persona, but like, I'm a little bit more extra on my show, right? And I think you guys have seen that. But I think one of the reasons that why am I even bringing this up? So, okay, so I have this kind of intense persona, but I am doing that partially because I just want to practice like expressing myself. I think that'd be really meaningful, but also because I think, quite frankly, one of the things that's been on my mind and heart is I need to ramp up. How do I word this? I need to ramp up the building of the channel. I've been kind of treating it as a side project, and I think, this persona of, hey, I'm gonna go fucking fuck you guys up, is I got to kind of back it up with some actions. I think that's basically what I'm saying. So I've been watching a lot of Gary Vee, as I'm sure some of you guys know. And so one of the things I'm probably going to do within the next 10 episodes within that time span is I'm going to actually follow one of his structures, right? So or two of his structures, two of his major marketing structures, because marketing is like my fascination this year. So the first structure is I actually posted it in one of the Facebook groups, is he talks about how to start, right? Which is his 3-step process of building anything, right? Whether it's a nonprofit, a small business, a large business, don't anything, right? And his 3 steps are: 1, you need to know what the fuck you're doing. You have to, he calls it creating a manifesto, right? You have to create a manifesto. For all of you guys who are in OP, it's basically sleep processing, right? It's like, you have to know what's your vision, what's your goal, and what identity are you going to be about, right? And so I'm going to make that for my channel, create a manifesto. I'll probably put it on my about page or something like that. The second step of that structure is the how. How are you going to distribute? Now that's kind of easy in this case. Well, actually not really. So just to clarify, there are three major ways he talks about how you can create content, right? Or create awareness is written word, visuals, and audio, right? Now, YouTube is kind of obviously visual, but one of the things I've been thinking about is, hey, I'm kind of calling this a podcast, and logically, there should also be an audio component, an audio only component. So probably one of the things I'm going to probably do as part of the, not necessarily the manifesto, but the that step of the process is really look into, I've been thinking about this for a long time, is how can I get this onto a podcast format that people would find meaningful, right? Like, would it be Apple Music? Would it be Spotify? I've heard of this one called, there's this one new podcast app that's out. Anyway, there's a bunch of podcast apps out. I just have to see, okay, how am I going to distribute it? I don't have the energy or the patience to distribute it to all of them, although there are these kind of apps out these days where you can just distribute it to multiple channels at once. That might be the move, right? And then finally, written. I like writing, actually. I don't know if people know that. I actually enjoy writing. I don't know if this is me peacocking, but I actually think I'm genuinely good at it. If I put in enough time, and if I have enough time for editing and kind of making sure it sits right with me, I actually think I'm pretty good at writing. So in many ways, when I create this 3-step process for this YouTube channel, I'm gonna be hitting all 3 channels, right? Or all 3 methods of creating content. So that's going to be very interesting. And then the third step of this structure that he talks about is distribution, right? And this is where really, actually, it's not even 2 structures. It's one structure, but one's nested in the other. So within the third step, the distribution, he talks about his marketing strategy of jab, 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 right hook, which is like, I love it. At least conceptually, it's really fucking hard practically, though. And what jab, 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 right hook is in this stage is you basically have to deliver. So jabs are basically, you're not asking for anything, right? You're just doing really just genuinely value adding shit, right? Saying things positive, asking people how you can help them, put entertainment, right? Things that are funny, things that are informative, those type of things, right? Those are like, anyway, I'm not going to use analogies, but that's what that is. And then the right hook is the ask, right? Asking for the donation, asking for the subscription, asking for you to be hosted on their show, or for them to distribute your content or whatever. Now for me, so that's going to tie back to the manifesto. I'm not entirely sure what my right hook will be, because subscribers are nice, but I don't necessarily want volume of subscribers so much as, well, at least not yet. I honestly want more of a community that I am happy to interact with, and if need be, let's say I work on this for several years, if that happens, I'm not going to promise that, but if that were to happen, then it would be a question of, can I build a sustainable enough community to financially support me, basically, so that's going to have to be the question. That's going to determine what that right hook, so to speak, is going to be. So that's what I've been processing. But what I will say is within the next 10 episodes, I will have a strategy for that. And you're going to see that. I mean, you guys are already kind of, especially people in the Facebook communities, you guys are already kind of seeing little inklings of my strategy, right? I'm posting semi-regularly. The game night, fucking here's behind the curtain of my thought process. The game night is a jab for me. It's like, look, it's like, if I'm ever going to ask for anything in the future, then I need to first do things that are first of all, it's meaningful to me. I actually like the people in that group, but also it's like, hey, just create something that's positive and valuable for the community, and then build up that social karma or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it's called these days, but so stuff like that. I would say be on the lookout for me within the next 10 episodes. You're going to see more stuff like that, right? It may not be a full blown out event, although I think probably there will be some, but definitely more kind of posts like that. from a macro point of view, from the general point, I think that's definitely all that I've been processing. So let's go into episodes. So first, as is tradition, or my tradition, I want to first actually revisit the top 3 most viewed episodes, because I need to understand what the fuck's going on with that, right? Like I just started my channel 2 months ago, and like the top one has like, I think it's almost like 360 something views. It's like I didn't fucking ask for that. I'm grateful, but it's like I don't know why that happened. So and similarly with the other 2, right? So I do think it's worth revisiting and maybe kind of extracting more lessons to build upon. Okay, so the top one's still Uzair, right? First of all, Uzair is attractive, right? Just objectively, I'm not like, okay, I don't swing both ways unless you catch me on a good day. Okay, so guys, let's calm down. Okay, just maybe like on holidays only. But for the most part, I'm very heterosexual, right? But I will say Uzair is objectively attractive. So like that's the first thing I've been thinking about a lot. I was like, is it just attractive, this thing? Like, is this are just people thirsty for Uzair? Is that what's happening? You know what I'm saying? So it's like all 3 of the people on the top viewed are objectively attractive, right? Like I'm not personally attracted to them for various reasons, right? Just principles and stuff. But like I'm like, okay, is this what's happening, right? Is it just the thumbnail, people like looking at these people and so they clicked that, because that happens, right? That's advertising for you. So I do think that's part of it personally. I think that's personally for all 3. But I think for the Uzair one, there are a few key factors, and I'm sure he'll probably drag me at some point later in my life for calling him out like this 2 episodes in a row, right? But so the first thing is, I actually do think he's very good at crafting a social reputation. Of what's the word? There's, how do I word this? He is very good at making himself accessible enough that people know who he is, but removed enough so that there's intrigue, right? I think he's extremely good at that. I don't know if he's intentional about that. I wouldn't be surprised if he is, but if he's not, he's a natural, because he doesn't have his own show to my knowledge. He's not like posting a lot, right? So the scarcity is there, right? So supply and demand, right? You're an attractive guy and an intelligent guy, but you're not there a lot, right? As opposed to me, I'm there everywhere, right? So let's, but this is not a fucking comparison game, I'm teasing. But he's very good at like I don't know what they call it, but it's like this push and pull or something like that. Like you're drawing him in and pushing him away, and you're drawing him in, but you're not there. Like that whole game, he's extremely good at that. And I think he's consistently good at that, because one of the things I've noticed in passing, I don't think I've done any research on this, so people feel free to fact check me, but like he is consistently drawing a large amount of views when he does guest appear on stuff. It's consistent at this point. So he knows, kind of like what he said on the episode itself. He's like, he's very aware and attentive to what captures people's attention. I think he's a natural at that shit. Like I would probably hire him for marketing, because he's extremely good at it. Like I don't know what else to say, so that's probably one of the bigger takeaways. And then also, I mean, he has NI, and I think NI is just like, everyone on the top 3 have NI, right? That's not a coincidence to me. NI is the high social value function. Like that's not going to change, like, because they fucking market themselves really well. Oh, NI subconscious, and first of all, it's fucking bullshit, guys. But no one's going to believe me. It's like so they're gonna fucking lie to you and tell you, oh, it's this mysterious shit, and I saw the missing piece, and all this bullshit. Okay, but they're doing really well on the marketing side. Okay, so NI is not gonna change. So Uzair being savior NI in the system helps him. Him being an ISTP, I think, helps him, because that is also socially, from my perspective, I think it's socially valued as a very cool type, right? So people are looking into that, much like the INTJs, the INFJs. ISTPs are the very cool type, right? And you could see this in particular in the OP community, right? So there's that. And not so putting that aside, I'm not trying to throw shade at him. He genuinely is a deep guy. I'm like, look, this guy came out with some fucking bars in that fucking interview. Like I'm trying to tell you, some fucking quotables. It's the time analogy. the basketball analogy and the house analogy for the play, that's something people are probably gonna. Well, I can't speak for everybody, so once I read, I'm literally like using my peripheral vision, so I can't even see the chat right now. But once I look at the chat, you guys can let me know, like, whether those are repeat. But like for me, it's like I think at least a certain population would find that worth revisiting again and again. So I think he's extremely valuable in that. So I think Uzair. Now, okay, so now this gets into the question: is Uzair, was Uzair a better guest than the other people on the show? I don't think so. If I'm being quite honest, like there are people on the show who were just as deep as Uzair was, right? If not more. Don't tell him that. But if not more, then at least as deep as Uzair, right? So I don't think, but I think that's, to me, what that indicates is that it's not a matter of the NT. It truly is an SF thing, right? He just fucking won the lottery of like genetics and type. Like, it's like, good job, bro. I support all the attractive people in the world, right? So it's like, it's not hating. Like, I support him, but I'm just letting him know. It's like, he's gonna keep winning. I'm just telling you, like, unless he like gets super ugly all of a sudden, is like he's gonna keep winning at life. I'm just trying to tell you guys. Okay, so that's Uzair, I think, and that's probably gonna be one that I continue to revisit. Well, before I move on, let me actually revisit some of those analogies because I think those are worth discussing. So let's start with the play versus sleep, right? So one of the things he talked about was play. So he talks about how people are optimized for their functions in their animals, right? And so he uses this example in the episode of play is like someone who's so used to have people over their house that everything is optimized. Like they have all the plates in the right place and everything's cleaned up enough or swept under the rug at least. You have the game room in the right place and you have the music right because you've been doing it so much that you know how to optimize everything. Whereas with sleep, he didn't really get into the sleep one too much, but if I'm remembering, the inference of sleep is you're optimizing it for yourself. So you're so used to just living alone. Like it's almost like you're living in like a cabin in the woods or something like that. Everything is optimized for you, right? So you know exactly where everything is, you know exactly what your processes are, like when you wake up, everything's in its perfect spot. But if someone were to come and visit you, they'd fuck it up, right? So I think for me, I think I am optimized for play, right? I think I personally am optimized for play, like, because I just do it so much. Like, now the question is, should I be optimized for play, right? Like, or should I kind of work on optimize? Like, should I be aiming for balance, or should I be aiming to optimize the play? I would say you can't live for other people. I'm sorry. People aren't that great. It's not worth it. Okay. So I would say, at least from my perspective, from my experience, even for someone with savior play double activated, you do need like at least a corner in your life where it's just optimized for you. Like I'm sorry for all the analogies, but I'm thinking of like, how people have like man caves or like stuff like that. That might be something where even for someone with a savior play like myself, just cultivate a space like that where no one can get in, because it's like you can't, like, I don't need to talk to you guys all the time. I'm sorry, So, okay, I think that analogy is at peace. Next is the basketball analogy. If I remember that one correctly, he was talking about how when describing saviors. So he's like, hey, whenever I talk to people who don't know about OP, I try to describe saviors in terms they can understand. So he uses the example of a basketball game. There are people who are optimized. Oh yeah, optimization again. Uzair must like optimization. But anyway, people are optimized for certain roles. So the short guy, the short fast guy tends to be point guard. The tall bulky guy tends to be the center, and so on, right? And so the savior function is you can see their style of play. And the way you would catch them, at least in this analogy, is you would call fouls on them, or you would impede on their play, right? So someone who's small and fast, for example, this is a sports analogy, guys. I'm sorry, but hopefully you're following this. But like, for example, someone who's small and fast, their saviors in this analogy would be, hey, I'm just gonna cut in, or I'm just gonna run around a lot, right? And so the way you get them into a demon state in this practical example is you either trip them a lot, or you call double dribble, or traveling. People who know basketball know what I'm talking about. And then they would be frustrated and they would get in this angry state, right? And he used that as an analogy for how we experience our saviors. Let's be real, now that I'm revisiting it, I've not revisited like, trust me, I'm demon sleep. I've not revisited any of this shit. But now that I'm revisiting it, I would not use that example to help other people, because it's a little bit too convoluted personally. I see where he's getting at with it, but like, even as I'm explaining it now, like, unless people knew about basketball or sports, it's gonna be hard for them to get it, as opposed to the house analogy. Everyone has a fucking house, you know what I'm saying? Or everyone's been to a party, you know what I'm saying? So that one's a little bit of an easier analogy for people to get. So I'm not even gonna process that one anymore. That I'm just filing that away, as I'm not gonna use that. Finally, the time analogy. The time analogy was very fascinating to me. So he was talking about how one of the ways he conceptualizes his future self, or the future, or future selves, is it's like, imagine that you have to convince someone else who's going to possess your body to keep the same goals and dreams and desires and memories that you have, right? And he used that as an analogy for like your future self, because your future self is fucking different. Like, I'm not my 15-year-old self. Like, there's remnants of that in me, but it's like I'm a different person in many ways, and my goals are not his goals, right? And so that's what he meant. It's like it's almost like this body possession analogy. It's interesting, but even he admitted it's more of like mental, like, it's like you're just doing it to mentally feel good about yourself. I think he even said that on the episode. So it's like, I don't think I'm gonna use that one either. Sorry. So I would say, so to sleep process that even further, I guess I did narrow down. So that's, yay, good. Okay, fun. So I narrowed down. I think I like the house analogy, the inviting people over to your house versus living alone. And so for sleep and play, or play and sleep respectively, I like that one, because I get that. The other two, not so much. Okay. But I'm sure you guys, actually, fuck you guys. I'm sleep processing. I don't care about you guys right now. Maybe ask a question or whatever, or leave a comment, just shitting on me or whatever. But in the meantime, okay, so let's move on from Uzair. Uzair is probably like, I gave him enough decider, freebies there. Next is Gray. Gray is very fascinating to me. I think Gray, so this is my side processing. I think Gray is going to become a very big YouTube channel if she's consistent, because I actually guest appeared on her show yesterday, and I've been kind of watching her stuff from a distance, right? Just seeing how she's operating. And I'm starting to see that her approach of trying to integrate or kind of find common ground between various typology systems, that's like, how many audiences can you tap into for that? That's fucking free real estate right there. You know what I'm saying? So assuming she keeps on that path, and assuming she enjoys it and finds it meaningful, and assuming her marketing strategy is good and all that, which I think it is so far, like her thumbnails are on point and her distribution, she's gonna fucking crush it. I'm calling it. This is my prophecy. She's gonna do really well. Okay. Now, revisiting the actual episode. So I still see a lot of feminine FI in that episode when I remember it. There's a lot of feminine FI, which I guess I should feel really fortunate, right? Because just doing the math, she's not going to show that to everybody. So I do feel very grateful for that. I like feminine DI personally. Just by the way, masculine DE and feminine DI are like on my favorite list right now. Like masculine FE and masculine FE specifically, and feminine FI are my favorites right now. So, and Gray, she was very sweet on that episode. Very SF, you know what I'm saying? But in terms of actual content, I am not sleep processing that scientific method conversation. It's too soon. I think OP is still too new for me to process that. I think she's right, but it's just not. For me personally, it's just not the time to worry about that. I think it is a business. I think she admitted that as well. OP is still a business primarily, so it's like I'm like, okay, let me wait a few years before I worry about the scientific stuff. Um, Honestly, I don't feel like there's anything more to process than I already have. I just like her a lot. She is in my favorites in life. Um, the one thing I guess the one thing I am processing is not from that episode in particular. I just did an episode with her yesterday. So one of the things she said on that episode was she's like, I want to be the one to talk about decider stuff, right? Interpersonal relational dynamics. And I'm like, I guess once I heard that, I guess I've been thinking about, okay, was she like that in my episode too? I don't know. Um, I don't think so. I'd have to maybe rewatch it, but I don't remember her going super decidery on me on that episode, if I'm being honest. It just seemed pretty just chill. Like, I mean, well, deciders are also chill, right? Savannah, for example, is a super chill person, but I don't think we got super into relational dynamics. But I'd have to revisit it, I guess, just to check. Um, yeah, great. That's a good one. And then the third one is Ikram. Okay, that's how you pronounce her name, by the way. Don't pronounce it Ikram or Ikram. That's fucking boring. Ikram. Okay, that's how you pronounce it officially. I've asked her. Okay, she likes that. So just make sure you roll the R extra hard when you say it too. Okay, just spam her with audio messages. Okay, so Ikram, um, I think she's just like, I know why she's getting a lot of views. First of all, like I said, objectively attractive. I am not personally attracted because I just have a standard with best friends. I cut that off. They're lamps to me for all I care. But I think objectively it's like, okay, like if I looked at the spectrum of humans, yeah, she's an attractive person. So it's like, of course people are gonna look at her. Like, yo, God, I'd be simping too. Whatever the kids are calling it these days. You know, well, except for me, I don't simp, but I can understand why people would do that, right? So yeah, yeah. So I get that, right? Much like the other two, they're attractive people. But I think honestly, for me, the biggest thing about Ikram that I think probably is attributing to not only just the views on that one but also just her channel. She's getting a lot of views on her channel. Like I have noticed that she's like getting like 300, 400. I'm like, yo, you just posted like once every 3 months. Like, how's this possible? You know what I'm saying? And I think what I attribute to that is I think she's a genuinely like sweet person, right? I don't know how else to say that. That might sound really cheesy. I think she's a genuinely sweet person. I think that shows in everything that she does. I think she's very caring. And I think that shows, and I think people can tell that. And I think that's why people want to be around her, because it's like, look, I mean, if you're a nice person, people want to be around you, So I think that's probably the simplest explanation I have for that. She's also just super funny, bubbly, she has the energy and all that, so that's a bonus. But I think it's the sweetness really that is causing the views there. Okay, so that's it. So I think I'm at peace with those three for now, at least for the next, guys. If you want me to talk about different episodes during that section, like watch other episodes. I'm tired of talking about Uzair. Trust me. Like, just make something else the top one. I don't give a fuck. So, all right. Now let's go into the actual 10, right? The most recent 10, 11 through 20, right? These are very interesting. I'm actually gonna have to pull up my YouTube channel because I forgot 100% who it was. But let me go ahead and look at this. I did like all of them, but I know in my heart I need to process quite a few of them. Okay, so episode 11 was Odom. That shit was fun. I'm trying to tell you, that was probably like, let me not exaggerate. That was, if not the most fun I've had personally, that's in the top 3 most fun episodes for me. I was not expecting that either. Odom, that was a fun episode. I don't know why. I think also I was hype because I just bought Smash Brothers for the first time. I finally did something for my FI. I played it for a little bit. I was super hyped. So But I think Odom was a fascinating episode, man. That I've been getting people messaging me like, "Oh, you guys went super NT in that episode." Yeah, we definitely did. You know, we didn't give a fuck. But Odom, that was a fun. I think so. The thing with Odom that I like and I appreciate, because I definitely don't reciprocate this with people, because guys, I don't have FE like that. I'm sorry, like, but I think one thing I like about him is his FE is he seems to genuinely want other people to feel good. I know he's demon on the FE, I get that, but to me, at least on that episode, I'm like, oh man, he's really trying to like make this a good vibe. Like he's laughing and he's being supportive, and I appreciate that, man. Like, so if you're watching this, I appreciate that. So I think that was a really good thing that Odom did. I attribute that to Odom. I was not the cause of that. I was just hype. Okay, the hype was me. The genuine appreciation was Odom. Okay, now we went into a lot of shit, guys, in that one. I'm trying to tell you, it has timestamps, so go watch that shit. We went into a lot of my favorite NT shit. Like we went into Nietzsche, we went into the SF. Why you need it so that you don't get your girl stolen from you. I'm trying to tell you, Smash Brothers. Guys, if you haven't watched it, you gotta watch it. I'm like Odom. Oh, and then Odom. So I think most importantly, there were two major things that I extracted out of the episode. One was the concept of schemas, which was necessary for me to have the Raja episode. The schemas conversation was extremely important because I think OP is going through a schema clash or crisis or whatever right now, in the self-growth sense, right? Because you have the Dave and Shan schema of you got to push on your demons and you got to struggle and you got to stay up all night and like struggle for like all this shit and you're going to hate it. And then there's the schema. I'm not going to call it the Raja schema. That's fucking dumb. I like Raja, but like I'm calling it a cooler schema than that. I'm sorry, Raja. But this is like the Kobe Bryant schema of like, look, I'm going to fucking dominate with my saviors, but I probably need my demons as well. Okay. So there's no resentment towards it or no struggle. Like, I don't think Kobe struggled with NI that much. Maybe TE a little bit, because I have read some of his stuff, but like he doesn't describe his process as, oh, I struggled with them. And he's like, no, look, I have a goal and I'm going for it. And if I need all my functions to do it and all my animals to do it, get the fuck out of my way. I prefer that. Okay, but that is a schema issue, right? So I think that was the first major thing that Odom taught me there that I really appreciate. The second one was his thing at the end, right? So he had this long blast at the end, which was cool. I'm trying to remember, like, I just remember it was important. I need to bring it back to my memory. Okay, so it kind of was along the schema thing I was talking about, but he was talking about more specifically this notion of his spiritual worldview. I don't know how to word it, but like his notion of resistance versus acceptance, right? And he was giving, like, I'm not gonna remember all the sensory, guys. Just go watch it. I'm tired. Like, I don't give a shit. But he had some sensory support for it and all this. And he was talking about, hey, you don't have to resist. Like, you don't need to have this resistance approach. Or actually, no. Let me back up. He said maybe at a certain stage of your maybe people at a certain stage of their development or consciousness need that like angry message, right? But once you develop to a higher state of consciousness, then you probably need a different message, right? In terms of self-growth, right? Hopefully I'm not butchering that. I probably am. But I probably have to revisit it. Maybe that's why, because it's I know it's one of those things where it's not. It was a little bit nebulous, admittedly. I mean, because it was NF stuff. But I will revisit that. But I do think that was an important one that I probably need to like just go back to my timestamps and revisit that, because I do think I remember listening to him like, oh yeah, this is important. Other than that, no, that's it. Okay, so Odom's done. Who was next? Oh, I don't want to play it. The fuck? Okay. Laura. Okay, Laura is an interesting one. I think we need to address this because Laura, she sent a message in the comments, both in the Facebook and in the YouTube, and she was asking some very pertinent questions. Okay. So I do think I need to process that. I do feel responsible for at least addressing some of that. So basically, I will admit this was probably one of the least. Let me put it this way. I think it was the least FI of my episodes, in the sense of like I wasn't expressing my FI. That's what I mean. I'm not saying like Like that's what I mean, guys. Don't take this out of context. And I think honestly it was because I was scared. Like I've interacted with Laura a few times. I like, you know, I know she feels super fun, but if I'm being honest, she's a very structured thought process and methodology. And I was like, look, I don't want to, like, I know myself. I know how crazy I can be, right? You guys have seen my shit. I'm like, look, I don't want to fucking stress her out. Like, it's like, it's supposed to be fun. So I think I got into a very accommodating, like, feminine TE when it came to that interview, which is not, that doesn't make for a fun episode. I get that, you know? And so I feel bad. Because one of the things she was like, she's like, hey, you know, why doesn't mine have, you know, as many views? And if I'm being quite honest, I think views come from feeling. I think people like feeling stuff. I know people like thinking stuff too, right? Because otherwise, I mean, you know, if people didn't like thinking stuff, people wouldn't be watching Lindsay shit. I'm sorry. You know, I'm name dropping, you know, that's my TE, you know, but I don't give a fuck. You know, so all that's proving to me is that people like thinking shit, okay? Because Lindsay doesn't do feelings like that. She's very thinkery, right? So I get that. But I would say in terms of like, you know, especially coming up, it's like I think feeling is more important, right? And I think unfortunately I didn't bring enough of that until maybe the second half of the episode. And by then people probably already checked out and all this stuff. So and also just the fear of the SI, because I was like, I was too afraid of being any crazy, you know. So I think that was why I was a bit stiff in that episode, you know. As for because one of the things she did ask, and I do think it needs to be addressed, she was asking why doesn't this have as many views as the other ones, right? I think the stiffness on my part is, take this in context. I already hear you guys thinking it in a nasty way. Stop, okay? But me being uncomfortable and awkward is definitely part of it. I will say that having her doing the Benjamin and then doing my episode back to back probably didn't help, if we're being honest. Like, that probably was an oversight. And actually, that's actually a really good point. So probably moving forward, I need to just see if they're doing interviews within the general time frame, because I'm like, that's gonna exhaust people. Like, I don't want to see you fucking twice in a week. I'm sorry. You know, I don't know how people are dealing with me because I'm everywhere, you know, but like, you know, barring me, it's like I wouldn't want to see that either. So I will say moving forward, I'll probably need to kind of coordinate or just kind of talk around that, make sure they have the best chance, right? And then yeah, it was just a very thinker conversation. I think that's probably one of the most pure thinker, like OP conversations I've had on my show. And you know, it's that's probably not great. But I think so. And so, Laura, if you're listening to this, I think one of the things moving forward, if you're worried about that, remember when your masculine FI came out and you were like, "Yo, fuck this." Remember that? You know exactly what I'm talking about. You should just do more of that. People like that, you know. I thought it was funny. I was actually hoping that more of that would come out in our episode. So, yeah, so maybe more of that, you know. So anyway, hopefully. Anyway, next is Evelyn. Evelyn was really good to catch up with. I haven't seen her. Like where has she been? You know what I'm saying? I know she has a life. That one was an interesting episode. It gave me a sense of relief, honestly, that episode, because I knew I could, like, I was like, I could break out of this fucking matrix. Sometimes I'm so EP. Sometimes the OP community feels like Matrix to me, like, or not the Matrix. I'm not NI, like, guys, I'm not, come on. But like, sometimes it does feel like a little pod of people and we're just all obsessing about the same thing and it gets dull, right? And I know that's me with my EP saviors and all that, but I'm like, okay, she is living her life now, you know? I was really happy that I was like, okay, there's a way out of this if I ever need to step away from this shit, you know? I think she's in a really good place. It's ridiculous how good of a place she's in. Like, not even financially, career-wise, that was also super inspiring to me because she's crushing it right now. Like, guys, she's fucking crushing it. I don't know what else to tell you. She's running shit, blasting, making money, just high rank, all that, all the TE goodies. I'm jealous as hell, But I think more importantly, or equally importantly, because I do like this the clout, But equally importantly is her FI is in just a really good place. Very relaxing talking with her. No tension whatsoever. It was just super relaxing. That was about it. I mean, we didn't really go into OP too much. I mean, except for like the standard stuff. It was just really good to catch up with her. If I'm being honest, I'm really glad that she, agreed to it. So next, Ian is a funny guy, guys. That was a very experimental episode with Ian because Ian, we started off talking about music for 30 minutes. I'm sure that bored the fuck out of some people, but like I needed to know. Like I like music, So that was a really cool thing to do. I kind of want to do more stuff like that where we talk about just stuff like real stuff, and interestingly, we did tie it back into OP, so that was kind of cool, So I think Ian is a very, very fun to talk to. The music section was cool. That conversation hit me at the time really hard because he was talking about like his professional journey and how he was trying to impress other people and prove that he could do things and all this stuff, only to realize, hey, but like even if I am successful by their eyes, like I don't want to do this, so he had to step out. That hit me because I'm going through some very similar stuff right now, guys. I probably should not be in the job I'm in, guys. I'm being honest with you. So that was really meaningful. I think that was a really gut punch for me because I'm like, it's like, Reggie, this is gonna be you in a few years if you're not careful. That's how it felt. I think, and much like Samuel, we'll get to Samuel, but I think much like Samuel, Ian seems very, like, in a weird way, he seems more NT than me in a certain sense, right? I don't know how to explain that. It's just a vibe I get. It's like he's more analytical than I am, which is interesting. We did get into parts OP, but you guys know I don't give a shit about that shit. Like, come on, guys. I do that for you guys. Honestly, I don't care. So other than that, that was a really cool episode. Really glad he joined that. And he's been a really cool guy to talk to ever since. I've been somewhat in touch with him, asking him questions and stuff. Next. Anissa, I told you you'd be on the fucking podcast. I told you. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you on episode 8 with Savannah that I told you it was going to happen, right? So Anissa joined the podcast. I appreciate that. Even though I told her it was going to happen, I planted it in the NI, right? Because I can do that. Very interesting. Anissa, so here's the thing about Anissa. Anissa is the type of person that she's chill enough to where you feel okay, like, with a superficial conversation with her, but her thought process is such where you're like, but like, I kind of want to know more of that. Does that make sense? Like, she's a very fascinating person because she's super chill. Like, I know she's probably living a hectic life teaching and stuff. God bless her. Little kids, bro. Nah, B. I'm not doing that. But my prayer is going out to her. But like, I know she's probably getting super drained, and I feel for her there. But like, she's a super chill person. But then her NI kicks in occasionally. I'm like, yo, hold up, B. Where'd this come from? It's like, this is cool, right? So that juxtaposition is very fascinating to me. I genuinely enjoyed talking with her. Always great. Like, her FI is in a really good place, so it's really just good from an emotional standpoint talking with her. Glad she's dating. I'm glad I'm not fucking dating. I'm over it. But I'm glad you're doing the thing. Finally hitting the scene. So that was really good. I don't have much from the OP side, but I think just as a person, really meaningful to talk with her. And ever since, by the way, she's been super helpful. Her, Emily, and Kim have been extremely helpful putting together the game night. So truly, truly grateful for her help there. And she's super chill to work with, guys, by the way. So I'm just saying. Next, Rose is also my favorite. She's in my FI favorites. Okay. Masculine FE is one of my favorites now. I just got to tell you guys, it's an extremely enjoyable, like, talking to her was very relaxing. Like, I think it was fascinating too from an OP perspective because we're double activated on our opposites. So she's an ISFJ double activated SI. I'm an ENFP double activated NE, right? And so we were talking, like, I could tell, like, sorry, one thing I've been processing, I know I'm rambling. One thing I've been processing about that conversation actually is her assumptions about NE. And I think her assumptions about NE are indicative of a lot of are indicative of how people see their demons or how people see people with their demons. Right? I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, Rose. Like, you already know. Like, this is pure love. It genuinely has been, I've been thinking about this for a long time. So I'm speaking specifically about the garden analogy. Okay. So if you guys haven't seen it, there was this analogy where she was like, okay, I experienced so she was talking about an analogy for her saviors. She was like, okay, I experienced my saviors as a garden and my demons as this force beyond the walls of the garden. And she was saying, like, for me, I like, my work of doing my demons is to ask the outside force for input for the garden or whatever. I don't know how, like, anyway. But when she came to me, because I was like, look, I don't experience that the same. She said, oh yeah, you want to be out in the garden, right? You want to be out being chaotic. I'm like, and Rose, again, with the greatest respect, I love talking to you. You're a good person. But I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, no, like, I'm not gonna just go randomly walk off and just be chaotic in some fucking forest. That's fucking scary. Like, no. But ever since that happened, I was like, oh, okay. Because for me, what I realized is that I think a lot of IJC EPs as way more, like, I think IJC EPs as more chaotic than they are. And I think EPC IJs is more controlling than they are. I think that's keeping it 100, right? Like, because who wants to fucking go in a forest? This is an analogy, but like, who, like, let me be practical. Who wants to just be like stressed out all the time, right? But by the same token, I think, to double decide here, I think for me, in my past and in my present, sometimes I see IJs like, oh, you want to control everything and take over the world. And look, some people do, some people have fucking egos like that. But for the most part, what I would say is the IJs are much more like what Rose described. They're like, look, I'm trying to just build something here. Like, can you fucking leave me alone? I respect that, right? It's like, look, just let her build her thing, right? But I think with EPs, it's like we're making it like, oh, this is where all these conspiracy theories come from. Oh, there's this corporation and this ivory tower and all this stuff and the Illuminati and all this, they're controlling what we do so that they can have all the money. No, I think, this is me being an EP, some of that's true, right? But, for the most part, I think IJs are just trying to live their fucking life. Rose is, to my knowledge, Rose is not being a tyrannical ruler out here, maybe except at work, but work, you got to do that. Like, people are fucking inefficient and insubordinate over there. So you got to fucking get them in line. I get it, Rose. Like, I'm not even trying to out you. Go fucking live your best life, okay? But, like, she's a chill person, right? So for me to project on her or for her to project on me or EPs to project on IJs and vice versa, it's kind of fucked up, So I'm going to say that. And that has been on my mind because I'm like, this makes like I actually felt hurt when she said that a little bit. Now, I probably deserve that because, I mean, look, I probably hurt so many people and not giving a shit. So I probably deserved it. But I was like, what do you mean I'm going to just go in the garden or go and be chaotic? And like, no. It's like, I'm a human. Okay. I like safety too, So that was that. But Rose, man, I'm working on the timestamps for her now. She is just she's just a really good person. I think her FE is very, I want to learn from that type of FE. I think, yeah, like if I were to have FE, I would want masculine FE, but I mean, I guess it's because I have masculine feeling, but her FE is really cool. I definitely want to learn from that. I felt really like, reassured and comfortable, and I attribute that to her. So I'm really grateful for that. She's super insightful as well. I'm not gonna even bring up the analogies like I did with Uzair. You have to just go on her YouTube channel. If I'm being quite frank, her YouTube channel, she's dropping bars, guys. It's consistent too. I don't understand how she's doing this, but she's dropping a lot of bars on her YouTube channel. So I would say go over there, check out some of her stuff, specifically the NT versus the SF and the SINE one. Those are I've been referring to those like for weeks now. Those are extremely good. Okay, go watch that. Okay, so Rose is good. I'm really happy we were able to have that conversation. Samuel, I'm pretty sure Samuel hates me now. I was harassing the fuck out of him. I feel bad. I got too hype. So that's a learning lesson for me. I got too hype before that episode. I was listening to too much Smash Brothers music. My FI was just on another level on that episode. I feel bad. I could tell because I've rewatched it a few times. I could tell he was probably a little bit uncomfortable. And it's my fault. It's nothing against you, Samuel. You're a great guy. I was probably being a little bit too aggressive, man. I'm sorry. So thank you for being so patient with me. Let's start with that. Man. Samuel's an insightful dude. Oh, the fucker. Hold up. Is everyone on this fucker insightful? Yeah. I know I'm surprised. But everyone I've interviewed has been insightful as fuck. I don't know what to say. Samuel's not an exception. There was this one analogy he did, or one explanation he did, where he went back to the fucking beginning of the Big Bang, like, to explain some shit. Who does that? Smart people, okay? This guy is, like, serious IQ level out here, okay? I'm just trying to tell you. That was a beautiful analogy, and that was just one of many analogies. You know, me with my NE, I was like, yo, why am I not this good? Like, I was stressed. I was a bit stressed. It's like, yeah, should I get my analogy game up out here? His analogies are so good, you know. And he was extremely helpful in terms of kind of, you know, clarifying explanations and asking me clarifying questions. He was a great guest. He put up with my bullshit too. That's a bonus. So Samuel, really appreciate it. That was a fun one. I feel bad though. I think it could have been a better experience for him from an emotional perspective. So I'll work on that. I just have to probably need to listen to different music before I start my show. So that's actually maybe that's what I need to do. Okay. A few more, and then I'm asking you guys, go ahead and ask your questions now, because after this, I'm answering questions and I'm over it. Cherie is funny. I called her the fuck out on that episode, guys. I'm trying to tell you guys. She was out here. I'm not controlling. She's hella controlling. I love her though. You know what I'm saying? That is a fascinating episode. I am not surprised by the amount of views it has. Just especially since we're like, you know, save your sleep and save your play on the same quadra. I think that's a very interesting juxtaposition. Very fascinating juxtaposition to have that. She taught me a lot. I think more than anyone else, with the exception of maybe Rose and someone else, she has taught me the most about sleep. Sleep processing from an SI-FI perspective. I was doing it all wrong, guys. I'm trying to tell you, I was NTing every time I thought I was doing sleep. It was a travesty. Okay. But, and then also, what was really cool is she actually clarified what FI was for me, because I thought FI was just emotions, right? But she was like, no, FI can be emotions, and it's vibes, but also it's values, right? And look, this is not new information, guys. Don't judge me. But I didn't realize she was serious about that, you know? I thought that was just Dave bullshitting, okay? But okay, don't judge me, guys. But yeah, she was like, no, FI is about values. Or sorry, not even just values. FI is trying to determine what does something mean. And I was like, I thought that was NE. But no, that might be FI, right? Trying to see what is the meaning or the significance, right? The human need of significance. What is the significance of this event or this sensory thing or this experience? That's a huge game changer. You know what I'm saying? That, Cherie, you already know how it is. I appreciate you so much. That is going to help me a lot. I am not exaggerating by that, because I was doing it wrong. I don't think about that. Like, I aspire to that. So that's where Dave and Shannon are right. Where it's like you want your demons, but you're doing your saviors. I want to live a meaningful life. I want to live a significant life. I want to live a deeply enriched life. But I don't actually go back and ask myself, hey, Reggie, you did this for 3 hours. Like, what is the significance of this event? What does this mean in the context of your life story? What is this going to say about you moving forward? I don't ask those questions, So that was a really powerful one. So I'm extremely grateful for that. If nothing else, I'm extremely grateful for that. But I also do think that's probably going to be one I rewatch personally, because just seeing how opposite we are is funny to me. It's just really funny to me. And I think that's good. I'm glad she dropped by there. Really quick, because I'm starting to get tired. Let's do these last 2 ones and then I'll do Q&As. Assis is a cute dude. Like I said, I'm heterosexual except on holidays. On a holiday, Assis is a cute dude. Okay, girls, I'm trying to tell you, this guy. First of all, this guy's gonna be fucking rich eventually. I'm trying to tell you. I'm giving you little hints. If you need things paid for, Assis is gonna be the guy. I am telling you right now, Assis is the guy. Okay, I don't understand. You don't sleep on Assis. Okay. Now, with that being said, Assis is very fascinating. I think he is someone who I was surprised by how much he opened up. Actually, I'm very grateful for that. I genuinely was surprised by that because I mean, for me, honestly, given the impression I got from the 9 show and stuff like that, I mean, I knew he was a deep guy, but I didn't know he was that personable, right? Like, so I think him opening up was really meaningful to me. He's a good person. I think he's like, you have to bet on Assis, I think. Assis is someone you stick with. Like, you don't fuck around with Assis. Like, no, that's dumb. I'm trying to tell you. There was something about that conversation I needed to sleep process. I forgot what it was. Oh, where he was talking about, I don't even know if I have the brain energy to do that right now. I might just mention it and then I have to do it later because I'm tired. But I think one of the things he talked about, Rose asked a question in that episode where it was something about like how she sees her frameworks as distinct, separate ones, whereas he says he sees them as nested. And one of the things he said was, no, this is super important. He was like, look, the distinction between sensory and intuition is arbitrary, right? Reality is reality, right? Reality is both patterns and sensory intertwined, right? It's not like you don't just see sensory, because otherwise you would be overwhelmed, and you don't just see patterns because you wouldn't see anything, right? It's like everything is a mix of both, right? And it's only humans that overemphasize or over separate the two. And he was like, the process, the goal, particularly for the first and last function, is you need to find a way to unify them in a way that they were already unified, right? Right? Because it's only you that's separating them, right? So for me, for example, I see a lot of the NE, but it's like the SI is there too. It's just I'm ignoring it. I'm thinking it's such a different thing that I'm demonizing it or making it the separate thing. No, they're one, right? There's SI and NE and vice versa. There's NI and SE and vice versa. I know this sounds super abstract, but like I think this is a truth, right? It's like perception is human. Like reality is what it is, and we are the ones that are starting to parse things out. So anyway, that I have to probably visit that later. That might be one of those things I just revisit later because I'm just tired. But Assis, I will revisit that, I promise you, and I look forward to having you on the episode on the show again. Finally, Raja, and then questions. Raja's a reckless motherfucker, guys. It was hilarious. After that episode, I know for a fact I'm not demon consume. I'm not saber blast. I'm not. That dude blasted like all the blasters on my show do that. Like they just talk for like 20-minute stretches, and I'm just chilling because I'm like, look, all right, I'm tired. I have shit to do. Like, or I gotta recover from my life. Go ahead and talk, and I'll listen to you. Raja just took over. It's like, look, I'm glad he wanted to do that. So yeah, I would definitely say Raja, that was fun. I think there's a lot. I don't know if there's a lot to process there. I just think it was a fun episode. I think this is me throwing shade, but a lot of the things Raja said, I'm pretty sure I've heard variants of him say it before, which is not surprising, But he's a funny dude. I will say he definitely changed my perspective on him during that episode because, like I said, I thought he was fucking weird, But apparently he's not as weird as I thought he was, So it's good. Is there anything else? No, that's it. I think with Raja, that's it. So let's go into the Q&As. Let's go into the Q&As and see what the fuck's going on. All right. So Elias, thank you. I appreciate that. My goal has always been a minimum once a week, but who fucking does minimums, right? Anyway, yeah, Gray knows about the wired connection. That's funny. As a consume first, you can do the timestamps. So here's the thing, Elias. The problem with that for me is that the timestamps are a form of sleep processing for me. I feel like I genuinely need to do it for myself because I need to like make peace with what happened and like what were the takeaways. It helps me learn. So here's the thing, guys. Don't fucking let me stop you. Fucking do your thing. But I would say your timestamps should probably be in the comments, right? My timestamps are going to be my timestamps. That's just how OI is. I'm sorry. Like, it's my structure, So, do what you want in the comments, but, okay. So Anchor is free and distributes to. Thank you so much. I'm going to look into that. I'm going to 100% look into that. So, thank you so much. Uzair's at 3. That's not fucking surprising. I mean, I told you he's a cute dude. This would annoy the fuck out of him. I might do this just to troll him. I might make every episode thumbnail Uzair thumbnails just to troll the fuck out of him. Wouldn't that be funny? I should do that. Lie and say every podcast is Uzair. That's so funny. Yeah, he does know he's pretty, Beth. He does know he's pretty. It's annoying, right? Like, I don't like giving DI anything, but unfortunately he's right? He's better in a lot of ways. Let's see here. Cleaning house analogy. Yep, still in my NI. I agree with that. Sleep is okay. Yeah, that's probably a better way of looking at that than just a static cabin. Okay, thank you, Gray. So it's more about preparing the house, but preparing it for what though? Like cleaning up for what? I guess is my question. Like, don't you have better shit to do? Maybe that's my bias. It's always impressive to see that DE at the first one being bored of. I don't know what this means. I'm sorry. I'm sure this is funny. I am sorry. I don't know what this means. So maybe you're gonna have to help me out. I think Gray thinks the time analogy for Uzair's episode, right, works better for deciders. Oh, because they're different people, I guess? Because you have I don't know, maybe something like that? Maybe it's just an observer issue. Let's see. Okay, how do you perceive the current or future NF of the channel? That's a good question. Well, let's start with the current. I think the current NF has shifted because I'm relaxed. I'm more relaxed than I was the first time, right? So I would say the NF is kind of like, this is going to be a very NF answer, but I think the NF of my channel right now is early Rome, right? Like, or at least the early Rome of the myths, right? Where you have a bunch of criminals and just reckless people like creating a city together, right? So it's like, if you guys don't know Rome's mythology, so basically, Rome, the myth is that Rome was started by a bunch of criminals, degenerates, all this stuff. I'm not calling my guests degenerates, okay? I love my guests. I'm talking about me, okay? The NF I bring is very degenerate. It's very crass. It's very Dave and Shan, Gary V-like, right? But I think the reason I'm bringing that up is because I think the future of my channel is going to be very much the future of Rome, right? Where it's like, that reckless energy is, I think, that is the primal energy that is needed to build massive structures. You need that, right? And eventually, over time, it will get all pretty and it'll get all refined, and you'll have all your systems and your roads and your empires and your marble statues and your marble buildings and all that fun stuff. I know this is super NF, but that's if I were to continue with my channel, I'm starting from a very reckless, almost like not criminal, but very rambunctious place, with the knowledge that that is the primal fuel that's going to push me forward. So that's the answer to that. Who's the next guest? That's a secret. I will say they're literally, if not my FI, like they're like, if they are not my FI, they're like almost 100% in my FI. I will say the next person, assuming they decide to do it. They are so on my FI, guys. So if you guys know me well enough, you probably have a hint of who that is. When you hit me up to play Smash, great, yo. If you're trying to get your booty whooped, I wasn't. Great, you should have done this in private. Now I gotta call you out. I already know you play Lucina. You know how many people Lucinas I've bodied online? All right, we're done with that. Did you get booty whooped copyrighted? No, because no one else is gonna say it. I know it's awkward. It's Demon SF. I already know this. Rose discussion. EPs and end saviors are SF popular. EPs? I guess I don't see that. I think a lot of EPs are, it's kind of hit and miss, right? Like, you know, but I mean, I guess. I will say that end saviors have always been SF popular in this niche, right? Which is dumb, right? Because it's like who wants to hear a fucking analogy all the time? You know what I'm saying? Like, dumb. I don't know why I do it, you know? But yeah, I get what you're saying. Do a live game night stream. I'm considering that. You know, that's going to be part of the setup. And you got to clean up for okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, good call out, Drew. Thank you. Okay, good. So that makes sense with the sleep analogy. So I guess sleep analogy people are getting laid. I mean, in Luzera's case, I'm sure that's the case. But, you know, that makes sense. So thank you, Drew. So, okay, guys. Let me see here. Beth, when I finally get officially typed, can you interview me telepathically? So, yeah, of course. We can do that. Beth is in my FI as well. I don't think she knows that, so I guess I just outed myself. Beth is a nice person. I don't know why you guys talk shit about her. Stop. Like, you know, she's doing her thing. All right, so that's it. I know this is probably boring for you guys, but I appreciate all of you guys who showed up. I don't know why you guys did that, but just closing up here. Really appreciate you guys joining me for these past 10 episodes. They were really cool. So moving forward, be on the lookout for that manifesto and just some marketing shit for me. You know, what I'll also say is guests. I am still looking for some guests. I have some people who are in my FI that are going to be returning on the show as well as being on the show. I am really excited for at least 4 of them. Like, I think, no, yeah. Actually, no, I only have 4. So I guess I'm excited for all of them. So yeah, I'm excited for all of them that are coming out so far. But I am still going to be looking for guests. So if you guys are in my FI, be on the lookout for a text from me. I'm just letting you know right now. Also, the timestamps are still coming. I still need to get that laptop. I still need to look into the wired connection. I feel terrible for how the sound quality has been and how, the lag has been. I feel terrible about that. So I'm sorry. I'm going to work on that over time. Next, game night. Okay. I am excited about this shit. People are about to get bodied in Among Us, as well as Jackbox Party. Okay. Come get bodied. Okay. It's going to be Saturday, February 6th. So it's going to be in Eastern Standard Time. It would be 12 to 3 for the Europeans. So GMT, that would be between 5 and 8, if my math is right. And then it will be, if I'm not mistaken, 6 through 9 Eastern Time, right? So we're trying to capture, the European group and the American group. So we have people on the team. We're just working on some, some TE, SI, ST stuff on the back end. So please be patient with us, but you're going to see a lot of announcements from us coming soon on the groups, on Facebook groups in particular. But if you guys want to join and you're not a part of Facebook groups, reach out, put a comment, message me. I will get you on the guest list. Okay. I think that should be it. Again, really appreciate it. I know sleep processing is awkward. Who fucking wants to do that? But god damn it. Yeah, so I'm done. Thank you. I'm gonna go take a nap. So I appreciate it, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.